doctor.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dovek, and she's a dietitian.
Hey, I'm Hannah Schuyler, and together we are
the Doctor Dietitian Collab. And we are starting a 3-part series that I think is important to every human. It's called SOS, Stress, Overwhelming Anxiety, and Solitude.
Get ready, guys, because this is going to be so good, like she said, for not just bariatric patients, but like these are things that are just affecting everyone. I mean, who doesn't have stress, anxiety of some sort and feel a little bit alone sometimes? So we'll get started today with stress.
Yes, we're going to start this conversation. We're going to call this a collection of ways to navigate mind fields. We're getting really creative here.
Yes, you are. All right. So
yeah, we're going to go into stress to start out, and I wanted to define stress. Like, I know we all have like, okay, when you think about the word stress, you have a definite feeling of like, oh, I hate feeling stressed. Like, and we're going to really dive into even the pathophysiology of what happens to your body and your heart.
It wouldn't be us if we didn't.
Exactly. We have to get into what's happening and why it's bad or maybe why it's good. So with that, I'm going to give a definition of it that actually does have that twofold. So probably the obvious thing that comes to mind is that stress is defined as that state of worry or mental tension caused by a difficult situation. And it's really a subjective thing to determine what is difficult. Some people would look at another situation and be like, oh, I wish that was my stressor.
Yeah.
And others, it's almost like, wow, how do they handle incredible losses or work demands or other barriers to really feeling it? So we're going to talk a little bit about those different things. And the other definition of stress is it's natural. It is a natural human response that prompts us to address challenges and threats in our lives.
Yeah, and that's like fight or flight kind of thing, or like that heart racing, just when you feel stress physically. And then other things that cause stress, things like surgery or physical stressors to our bodies.
That's so true. And when you have surgery, just to touch on that, since this is about bariatric surgery, this podcast, after bariatric surgery, even if it's a relatively quick procedure, yes, this is still a general anesthetic. You're still undergoing a major operation. You have laparoscopic. You're getting blown up with a CO2, all of these different things. And after surgery, the body will go into this, it's a pretty short-lived stress response, but it elicits this inflammatory response of things like your insulin and blood sugar levels will be out of whack a little bit. So if you're a diabetic, sometimes after surgery, that first night, you're going to see your glucose levels spike before you start to see them trend down to hopefully a normal range. So that's all part of that inflammatory cascade of all these different markers that come onto the scene to help you to heal and start that process.
Yeah, and I think that when we think about like inflammatory, we hear that word so much in social media and people saying, oh, these foods are inflammatory or this, that, and the other is inflammatory. Stress is super inflammatory in general. So like, yes, there's like the acute inflammation after surgery, after even like a sunburn or something, like you have inflammation, but then like there's that chronic stress that causes that like low level of inflammation through the body.
Totally.
We'll touch on that.
There's different types of stress. There's that acute stressor, there's episodic acute stress, and then there's chronic stress.
Yeah.
So it would be lovely if we could just say, like, guys, just calm down. Everyone loves being told to calm down. Just don't be stressed. Why are you so stressed?
It's easy. Just calm down.
Yeah, I know.
Take one deep breath, you'll be fine.
Yeah, we're going to breathe here today. We're going to breathe in and out. But like Hannah just mentioned, I mean, there is this physiological stress, cortisol. And we talked about this on our sleep episode. When you're stressed, you might have challenges with your sleep. Not only that, you could gain weight. It could be in that dangerous intra-abdominal kind of central distribution to your weight. So stress is something that we need to really be able to manage and talk through, but know again that it is natural and that everybody, of course, has it. It might seem, I saw the other day from Berry Nation's April. She put a post on her Instagram about the things that we show on Instagram, these highlights and all that sort of thing. But like what happens in between those posts?
Yeah.
I really like the way I love the paragraphs that she said, like, this is what's been going on in between. And so like, what's happening to you in between when you are stressed? Listen, I get massively stressed. I showed this perfect little thing that here I am. I'm just laughing, throwing my head back. But I mean, I get massively stressed.
Oh yeah. And again, like that's such an example of, what do we see from other people, and then what are we actually experiencing? And that's where one of the things that can really cause stress is like social media and media in general. I mean, look at the news. The news is incredibly stressful.
Ugh, absolutely. And I think some people even avoid it. It's like, I just can't even deal. I don't watch the nightly news as much as I should. I should probably be more in the know about current events, but I can't take on that.
Like self-protection against that stress of the outside world, especially when you have enough going on in your own little world.
Exactly. And that's the thing. Your own little world is your world. And that's something that, we have to deal with. So some of the signs of stress, we can all relate to these. And I'm going to tell a story that happened yesterday to me. Just demonstrating, when I read this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was like so stressed. And this is kind of ridiculous, but I'm going to tell you. So being irritable, angry, impatient, wound up is the first thing. And I can tell, like, when I'm stressed, or Aaron, my husband, is stressed, when the way we treat our kids. I hate to say it, like, he'll snap about like, oh, they're not eating over their plates. And I see like, a piece of chicken or something fall onto the ground. And then it's like a catastrophic event when you really like, I come in from the other room. I'm like, okay, he's obviously stressed, but like the poor kids can be like kind of the recipients of this.
Yeah. Well, because they probably are, it's that like little thing and kids are like that.
I know. You'll see here.
And that's where having another person is helpful, I'm sure.
But I mean, it is. And then it's almost like, why are you so angry about that little thing? But it's just that tipping point. And then I think if you're a parent and you have all of this guilt, then that, oh my gosh, I just yelled at them. I just lost my cool because I'm stressed about something else and they just happen to be in my path. Like, or it might not be a kid. It could be a colleague at work or even driving on the road, driving to come here today. Somebody cuts you off and something happens and it's like, well, you don't have no idea what's going on in their life, or they don't know what's going on in your life. Yeah. And there's like middle fingers being thrown. Like, what is happening? But it has nothing to do with that. Okay, sorry. Like, you cut off with a little bit of, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why my windows
it just feels like it just feels like a bigger issue because you're already in that like high stress response state. Like you're tense and then it's just like one more frickin' thing.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's just that one. It's the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Exactly. And it feels kind of good because they're strangers and hopefully they'll never see you again unless they're your neighbor and it's like, you again? Like, I mean, like, do we have to have this battle royale pulling out of our driveways? Like, this is weird. And then, with stress, you feel overwhelmed. And I think that feeling of drowning in this ocean of your emotions can feel like, it can give you that physical feeling of true heaviness in your chest and this like burden on your shoulder. Like I feel physically lighter when I'm not stressed.
Oh yeah.
I almost feel like the scale like does it too. Like I'm carrying too much right now. I think I'm going to weigh too much on the scale. Like it's going to actually, I was going to show up objectively in the amount of pounds that I carry.
Yeah.
I feel that way. And then we're going to talk in the next episode about anxiety, but it is that feeling of anxiousness, that feeling in your gut, that churn, that, that feeling that just goes around in your abdominal area that just can give you anxiety or constipation and just messes with your gut too.
Or diarrhea. It goes both ways with stress.
I think it's more diarrhea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, oh boy.
Oh gosh.
I know. Looking at our poop scale here, where does my poop fall when I'm stressed? It's going to be on that looser, watery, lovely. Racing thoughts that you can't turn off.
And that plays into that sleep too.
Ooh.
Like, oh man, racing thoughts is something else.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it's like, why do I have obsessive thoughts about this thing or this person? Or it's like a minute detail.
Yeah.
But it's something that can carry into your daytime and almost be too consuming, but then floods into your dreams or nightmares at night.
Yeah. Do you do you make up conversations in your head?
Oh
Do you like have fights with people in your head?
Exactly. I
All
mean,
the time.
they're gonna say this, but then I'm gonna mic drop it on them whenever I come back with like all of this like attorney speak type of like research that I'm gonna come back at with a, hey, how are you? It's funny you should ask. You know, like I'm gonna get into this like.
But then it's so funny because then we have those conversations. It's like those ones that you build up. Say you have to like approach somebody at work or whatever.
Yes.
And you build it up in your head and you go through you put yourself through this whole stress, and then you're like ready to confront this person. They're like, oh, I didn't realize that. I'm sorry, I'll change. And you're like, I had like a whole thing, but you weren't ever going to do that fight anyway.
I know.
Like, even if they came back and were defensive, you were probably going to be like, well,
I know.
And like you spent all this time stressing about it in advance. And it's like, to what end?
I know. I think that's one of the biggest stressors is confrontation.
Yeah.
And how somebody wrote in an email or a text and then you don't really interpret the tone correctly.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And then you spend all this time and energy just in this turmoil of what did that mean and how does that impact me in the short and long term? Or if you are back to the work example, you're thinking about I want to renegotiate or talk about my compensation. I feel that my value is this. And how do you go into that room and be able to do that with when you're, for them, it might be another meeting. For you, it's your kind of your livelihood. And whenever I think about like, okay, how I'm compensated or how I do impacts my family life. And then I make it into this enormous thing. I mean, it is a big deal.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than feeling like what you're doing. It is super stressful to think that all that you're doing and all that you're working isn't being, I don't know, it's not being either fairly compensated or acknowledged or valued, or you're being ignored or you're just like insignificant to the greater good of the mission. That can all be very stressful.
And then when you look at that too, and we think, okay, that's like the work side of things, but then put in the home life thing.
Yes.
So, okay, I'm doing all of these things at home and I'm taking on the burden, or I'm feeding the kids and the kids are dropping the food on the floor and you're not, like maybe there's no other person there, or maybe they're not present or whatever. Like there's that stress too. So it's kind of can come at us like in all aspects of our lives.
That's such a good example.
And it's such a feedback. Again, I think that's really, feedback is like really truly the underlying theme of our show. It's like everything is just a feedback loop, right?
So true. And what you just said about the home life, there's relationship that, might need some really deep dives and counseling and a look at them. And I think that the things that stress people out a lot include money, include roles and expectations, even at home, of who does certain things and making sure you feel valued and appreciated and all of that I just worked a long day. Well, maybe your partner did as well. And maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, maybe you're trying, maybe you're struggling. There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can really be on your mind. Maybe you have a sick parent. Maybe you have to take care of somebody or help. And again, overwhelming, lots on our plates. And we all want to, back to the Instagram thing, or at least the way the outside world views us, we want to seem like this is effortless. I don't know what y'all are complaining about, but for me, I mean, oh my gosh, I can be mom of the year and wife of the year and over here, making this amazing career and I'm flawless. And no, nobody feels that way.
Yeah.
And then finally, feeling unable to enjoy yourself. So my story, I wanted to tell you. So I went to the animal kingdom yesterday, and first of all, I love Disney, and you'll see it on my Instagram, and I'm always there, and I always have a good time. But whenever I get there, I don't know if it's because I'm used to going to Disney in these fleeting moments where it was a vacation, and I didn't live in Orlando, and I didn't have, this ample amount of time. Like, you ride 2 rides, that's it, great, leave, that's fine. And for me, it's about like my maximal enjoyment in this thing. Like, here we go. And so I get there and then the app's not working. They're like, ma'am, step aside. I'm like, no, my fingerprint will work. I can get in here. I have the season pass. It's like, it's going to work. So I'm like already starting to wind up inside. Like, I'm getting tight. Then I get in there and I'm like, okay, I bought the Genie Plus, and I'm trying to get to the ride. And I'm like literally like dragging my youngest Liv, and she's running beside me, and we're trying to get, I'm like, we're having fun. Let's go to the ride. And I'm like walking ahead of everybody so fast because I'm like, come on. And I'm like, let's go. And then it's like, it's not about me anyway. And then finally, like as the day goes on, I finally kind of like go into it, and then the stress goes away, and I'm like, just have fun. Like we ended up taking a drawing class yesterday.
Oh, fun.
And normally I would be like, no. I bought the fast pass. So what we need to do is we need to get to the next ride. And then I like actually canceled a ride I had signed up for. And it felt like it's fine. And whenever I just went with the flow and just try to like literally calm down, it is not that extreme. Like the kids didn't even want to ride a certain ride that I was trying to drag them onto and all across the park, and awful. Yeah. I was stressed.
It's like you're micromanaging fun.
I'm micromanaging fun.
Yeah. And causing that stress.
So if any of you are out there and you're in the Orlando area, you've been to Disney, you're from near or far, wherever, if you feel like overwhelmed and stressed the max about your ability to have maximal amount of fun, well, I think you're not alone.
You're not alone, and that's not the way to have the most fun.
No, it's not.
You know? And especially like when you look at doing stuff with kids, like they want to just like draw and color and do that stuff, you know? And like, meanwhile, as adults, we have this different perspective of like, we're here, we need to make the most of it. I do the same thing. I'm very much like, how many things can I like cram into this experience? So like when we went on our honeymoon, I had a whole spreadsheet of like, this, we're going here and this is what time. And my husband was like, can we sleep in? I was like, 8:30. Like, you know, like, and it's like, why? Okay, so maybe we don't see every single thing that Rome has to offer. Oh no. And we still saw like pretty much all the big things.
I love this. Let's just make that a rule of thumb. Spreadsheets probably it should be the same sentence of having a fun time.
Okay, it did really help though, because it did give us a guide, and I wasn't stressed out on the day of trying to figure out where we were going. I knew how to get there, what little subway to take. Like, that was all done in advance. So the day of, I could
that makes it better. That is true.
I could just say, okay, this is the plan for the day.
I know.
But yeah, the initial planning stage was kind of like, Hannah, when are we relaxing on this trip? And I was like,
he's so right.
Who relaxes on vacation? Like,
I know.
What?
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. We need vacations from vacations.
Right.
Because we're trying to capture this most perfect time. And we went, and it's expensive, and travel, and like, I want to make the most out of this. I want to
make the most. Exactly. If I'm flying here, I'm spending this much money on my plane tickets and our hotel and, you know, whatever, we're going to get the most done. And, we are. It was like we ended up taking one day where we just hung out until like the evening, and we did our little class, and we didn't do anything that day.
Probably the best day.
It stressed me out. But, you know, he had a great time. So
because it's like,
it took me a while. I eventually calmed down. I think we finally went and like got some gelato and like got some lunch or whatever. Like, but stayed within 2 blocks of our hotel. Like, didn't go anywhere. Until that night.
So I think that's a little bit about, you know, you're in this place, and you're trying to make the most of it. And there's almost like a general like rule book or of sorts that you're trying to follow, that this is when people go to Rome, they have to accomplish these things. Yeah. And so there's this little bit of give yourself authority to kind of trust yourself just to listen to your body or listen to what you're doing. Like, this is good. I want more of it. This is not fun. Let's do less of it. The museum was boring. Let's cancel the next one.
We don't need to go to the museum. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to see every ceiling in Rome.
No.
Your neck hurts too.
So trust yourself. That's a big thing that we're going to talk a lot about, is about making these decisions and feeling that the most important thing you can do is to make a decision and own it, and be proud that you even made one, and have your own back in making that decision. So it's like, all right, I made this big decision that, let's turn it back to surgery. I made a big decision. I decided that I'm going to have bariatric surgery. And I think that's, if you feel like, oh gosh, afterwards, okay, I want to be perfect. And so we're going to talk a lot about like, all right, what I should eat. And there's like, okay, there's these general guidelines that we give you as a dietitian. If someone's undergoing cognitive behavioral therapy with a behavioral health specialist, mental health provider, there's all these things, talking to even your surgeon, your bariatrician, whatever. And you have all these kind of guidelines, but you take them almost to become this concrete, this is the law of the land. This is it. And if you make a wrong decision in that, you should just be proud of yourself that, all right, again, slip, don't slide. You made a wrong one, but I made a decision and that's fine. Yeah. It wasn't a decision by a committee. It was a decision that I made, I owned, and I will deal with it the way that it works out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that people do in thinking of our examples of like being at Disney or being on vacation or whatever and trying to make the most of it, that plays out in real life too, because people try to have it all or do it all. And it's like, especially when you're making a lot of big changes in your life, when we think about like surgery, okay, we've got the nutrition, we've got the vitamins, we have the exercise, we have the fluid, we have, this, we've got maybe further surgeries. There's like all these different things that play out. And sometimes you can't prioritize everything. Mm. And that's not to say that there aren't certain things that like we have to do. You have to eat protein, you have to drink your water or your fluids, whatever. But if you start to stress when one of those things doesn't happen like once or twice, or like, then it's going to cause all these other issues, and it's going to cause that like chronic inflammation, which is then going to impact your outcomes.
Absolutely. When you are obsessing about this, I'm doing it wrong. I am wrong. I am bad. I am not worthy. The scale's not moving. Just as I thought. I fail at this. I fail at everything. You are literally doing just doom scrolling down into, I don't know, oblivion.
You're just like speaking that like failure into existence, kind of.
Totally. Yeah. You're like almost manifesting this negativity instead of the opposite way of that. Wow, I decided to have surgery to change my life. And, okay, you experience some weight regain, let's say, as one of the examples that I see these just, I see these very emotional, raw, and vulnerable posts, or people putting it out there on support groups, or even telling us behind closed doors of the virtual clinic or what have you, that like, oh my gosh, like I was down 100 pounds and I gained 10 back. I gained 15 back. Okay, you're still down 90 pounds. Like that's okay. That's fine. We can help you. And it is stressful to think that, and then it just keeps going in the wrong direction. Like, I mean, even myself, I'll step on the scale sometimes and it will impact your mood and it will stress you out. And then you are irritable, angry, impatient, wound up, overwhelmed, anxious, stressed over a number on the scale. Yeah. Or on some other bogus objective thing, like these shorts were fitting great and now like I can't get them zipped, or they're like pinching in my skin, or I can't fit them on my thigh at all. And, and then you just like, it's just really challenging.
Yeah, that spiral.
Yeah, it totally is. So be proud of yourself that you did that. Another example of something that just shows that we are just, for some reason, just craving what other people think, is looking on the shelves at the checkout at the store of good old Cosmopolitan magazine. Mm-hmm. Things like that. The how-to guide, how to pleasure your man. Read here. How to fix your hair so you look cute with bangs. How to wear the right lipstick for your chubby face, or for your flat face, or for your, long face, or for your big nose, or for like, wow. And you better believe, like, especially my most impressionable years as a teen and 20, I subscribed to that stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I allowed that, like, oh my gosh, like I'm not following this step-by-step guide perfectly. Like a race over to this magazine of probably someone who has no idea what they're talking about. And to see like, oh, I didn't do that. I didn't accomplish all those steps. I didn't check every box.
Oh yeah. It's that external pressure of like, yes, these are the how-to, and this is going to make your perfect life perfecter. And then also like thinking too, looking at the timeline that people try to live their lives by.
Ooh,
so that's such a big stress. I don't know if you ever think back to what you thought your timeline would look like as far as like your personal life, like your marriage, your career, your children, all of those kinds of things. I remember thinking like, well, I definitely don't want to have kids before I'm 25. Like, spoiler alert, girl, you're 33 and still don't have kids. So like 25, like where was that? That was just like some number that I remember hearing as a teenager or whatever. And I was like, granted, I'm from the South, so like people would often have kids earlier than that. And I was just like, I know I don't want that. I want to like have a career and everything. But where in the world did I think that 25 was like old, you know, that it was like,
oh my God.
At that point, you better be getting ready for it. And like, and that like pressure. And I fortunately didn't have too much of that. It wasn't like, I don't have like family pressure of like, you need to do, you know, have this, have that by a certain time. But a lot of people do. And that causes that like, I haven't met, again, this like arbitrary point in your life.
Totally.
Like,
yeah. And then even talking about arbitrary points, a big thing is the rate at which you lose weight, bringing it back to weight loss surgery and your results compared to others. But also, we get this question all the time. And I get people do want a kind of a general idea of like, well, what will my results sort of be like before you do it? And I get that. Yeah. And there, you know, someone who you're looking online, like who's a similar sex, builds, height, you know, starting weight, how I look. Mm-hmm. But then if you're like, okay, so when do I expect to lose my weight? I'm like, well, for the most part, you'll be close to your goals around 12 to 18 months. Then 18 months happens, or it's like this thing that's like this counting down, then it's like, an alarm is going off and you didn't hit where you are. It's not like you're broken forever.
Yeah.
And it's like this stressful thing of this, like, okay, I'm up this week, I'm down this week, I'm not where I should be. I had surgery, my surgery twin, somebody that had surgery on the exact same date. They look so much better than me. I've said this before, but I had to put this out here on the stress episode that I don't think ever once in my entire career, and I have done over 4,000 operations and I have seen thousands of patients in follow-up, have I seen a patient in follow-up who would come to the thing and it's like, wow, you lost, like, I'm like always blown away to the patient was like, I am just so thrilled. I have nothing to say. They'll say, I'm really happy with my results, but I wish I would have lost more, or I think I should be like, where should I be? Like, again, not claiming their own happiness or giving themselves the authority to feel that, like I'm like pretty darn calm, content, and peaceful with the work that I've done. And for the most part, I have truly done outstanding, because I'd say universally our patients all lose weight, all do really well, all are fighting for their health and trying their best. I mean, I don't find many people who are, if ever, like self-sabotaging intentionally.
No.
And it's just, it's a lot.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we all have stress.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think are the best kind of coping mechanisms truly to help to navigate it? That, again, it is natural. You're going to feel it, and that's okay. On our anxiety episode, we're going to really talk about all the great aspects of anxiety. So we hope that you listen in next week to that overwhelming anxiety conversation. But what do you feel like are some really good tips that people can listen to or seek professional advice, but kind of insert their own critical thinking into how it kind of molds into their lifestyle?
Well, first, just calm down.
Oh, here we go again. Okay.
Take one deep breath and you'll be fine.
Okay.
No, but I do think there's a lot of things you can do. I think sometimes acknowledging, or one of the big things I would say is acknowledging the stress in your life.
Yeah.
Saying, this is a stressful moment for me. And once you can kind of recognize that, you have like that clarity of like, okay, wait a second. Do I need to be stressed out about this? Is this actually a stressful situation, or am I making a mountain out of a molehill? And then there is like deep breathing has been shown to like help, and making that a regular thing in your day, especially if we think about certain times of day where you might be more stressed out, like going to bed, we have a lot of stress. Setting up that time for yourself to like physically calm down. Like, let's bring down the cortisol levels. Let's like, a little woosah moment. Like, just, so I think there is validity in that, and other types of things. Like, is it aromatherapy? Is it taking a bath? Is it, having alone time? I think, which again, for some people, being alone can be really stressful. And we'll talk about that in our Solitude episode kind of, but like taking that time alone. And then I think also expressing how you're feeling to the people in your life, because you know, maybe it's the partner and it's like, look, this thing that you're doing is now causing me stress, or we don't have a system in place to take care of this issue. Can we figure something out to solve that problem so that it's off of my plate?
Oh, so true. What do you think about when you're really stressed and then you just come to this tipping point and you just scream, cry, just like literally like let it out?
I think it's helpful.
I do too.
I get to a point where like, even if I'm not like noticing that I'm feeling really stressed, but like that one little thing will put me over the edge, and I'm a crier. Like I can't have a difficult conversation without crying. My poor husband is like, this is the worst.
No,
because just like, it's just how my emotions show. But I usually feel so much better after I've had a good cry, even if it's not related to a certain event. Like I'll just like, you just get to that point where it's like, I can just feel it throughout the day where I'm like welling up all day. And it's just like, just let it out. Just cry, you know?
But it's amazing how we all like do so great at faking being fine. Like I'd rather cry and scream and be almost like, it look like an emotional, like just explosive nutcase a little bit, but I can't bottle it up. Like those people who are just so tight, well, brace yourself, because one day that truly will explode and
in some way or another.
Yeah. And I think that that's where things, you just can't, I don't know. I always oscillate at these very high frequencies of just getting it out. But the other day, I'll tell you, you know, obviously I'm planning some big career moves and I've been in the works of this. And this has been just an enormous amount of work and effort to get ready for the big launch and just making sure every detail is thought out and all of that. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's pretty darn stressful.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, you want to make sure, like, I didn't forget one thing, because one of these things could be just critical to being able to seamlessly, or so it seems, get going here.
Right.
And then like the other day I found out that like my ACLS, which is acute cardiac life support credentials, which you get every 2 years, like it's up and it's going to be expiring in April. So then it was just like trying to find that I was just like screaming and just like losing it. Like, ACLS, it's expiring.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And it's just like so many little things. And it's like, we're going to get you into ACLS. You're going to be just fine.
Yes.
You're going to have hospital credentials and privileges, and you're going to be able to operate. You're going to get this thing that you've done 1 billion times in the last 25 years of your career. Like, you're going to be just fine. But at that time, like, no, this is stressful to get that email. And I have this Apple Watch, and it's kind of a blessing and a curse.
Oh my gosh. The Apple Watch is a blessing and a curse.
Because it like keeps you on track, and it like lets you see your movement. And I like to like not miss calls or texts or things like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like a constant like dog collar that's like, but it's stressful. Like, and I'm like, credentialing, what now?
Yeah.
You know, like so-and-so's writing you a thing. Like every time you hear a knock at the door or a thing on your watch, you're like, what now?
Next?
What now?
Yeah.
What's coming in the mail? What's happening to me?
Yeah.
And then you take it and then you digest it and then you're like, okay, it's all good.
It's all good. It's not as bad as it seems.
No.
I can go and get my life support credential done.
I'm going to get that done.
Yes. Like it'll be okay. But yeah, I think that's definitely a way to think about like reducing stress is kind of taking away that availability sometimes because everything is so available. And I think especially when we look in the past probably 10 years with social media, with advancements in technology, we all have these stupid wearables on our wrists.
I know.
You know, and it's my Apple Watch frustrates me a lot because like there's no recognition from it of if I need a day off.
Yeah.
You know, or if you're sick. You know, the best thing you can do when you're sick is rest.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm sick, I usually take my watch off because I can't handle it buzzing me and telling me time to stand up or, just go for a quick 30-minute walk to meet your steps or to meet your goals for the day. And it's like, that's not my goals for today. That is the opposite of my goals for today is to sit on my couch and like drink warm tea.
Oh my god.
You know, like
yes.
That's it. And so there's no setting for that. And I feel like that's kind of how a lot of times life is. It's like there's no setting to like turn off these expectations that you need. Again, like you said, we need a vacation from the vacation.
Yes.
Because there's just always an expectation to like get something done.
That is so funny you say that. I'm sitting there sometimes typing these things. I'm stressed to the max. And then all of a sudden, you're right. The watch steps in like, oh, not you too. And it's like, you're basically like, these are where you're at so far today. Are you alive?
Yeah.
Like your rings haven't got much time. Hey, Betsy.
Oh, yeah. The worst too, it'll do it at night, which I really wish there were better settings on the Apple Watch. I'm going to go on a whole Apple Watch tangent apparently. But it'll be like 11:15 at night. And it's like, oh, you haven't closed your move goal. If a swift 15-minute walk will take care of that. And I'm like, it is 11 o'clock at night. I am in my bed reading or whatever. Why would I go on a 15-minute walk ride? That is not like health either. Like that, this is supposed to like help keep you healthy.
No.
And I'm like, no, I just didn't get the movement today because I was working or I was doing whatever, So that really annoys me and stresses me out.
You know what we should do? We should go into a competition.
No.
I'm kidding.
Oh my God, no.
My sister and I did that a couple of weeks ago. For the first time, she's like, cancel this. It keeps coming up. I think you pushed it by accident. I'm like, no, I want to see what this is all about. And then she was like, this is stressing me. She told her husband, I guess this is a good thing. This is the most stressful thing in my life. Right. But like, I can't function. And then like, I went off and did like a 6-mile walk one day. And she's like, how dare you? Yeah. And she's like, I'm up in Pennsylvania. It is 30 degrees. I don't care that you're in Florida and it's sunny and beautiful. And like, we're getting into like a fight. We haven't really been spoken over this Apple Watch 7-day competition, which I won. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah. You're mean, sister.
I am mean. That was mean. Scratch that from the record.
Sorry,
Jeez.
sister.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so like there's those little stressors in your life, and that's a way that I think, and whatever that little thing is, if it's not serving you, get rid of it or change the settings. If it's, I can't get my email on my watch. I don't get email alerts on my phone, period, because it was too stressful for me. I don't need to be that connected. I can go in and check my email because most of it's like from the Gap anyway. It's not like I'm getting anything real, but it's like I don't need that constant.
I know. I have it. Even when I was at Disney yesterday, in the morning, like I got something from Cigna, and I stopped dead in the thing. People were like bumping into me, like scooters, wheelchairs, people, humans, kids, whatever, and I'm like just standing there like the world. I'm like, oh, Cigna wrote me something. Yeah. Like, I have to stop right now. Yeah. I was running through this park a moment ago, but now I'm standing very still looking at my phone.
Because everything is urgent.
So urgent.
And that's another really stressful thing is that feeling of urgency of every single thing in our lives. And it's like, a lot of these things can wait. Work is a good example of that, of like feeling like an email has to be responded to immediately. And it's like, do we not have like the 24 or 48 hour rule anymore of like, and there's times where you have to get back to something quickly. But there's a lot of things that's like, that can wait, or that can wait till Monday. It'll be okay. It'll be fine.
I know.
I'm pretty good about that one.
Well, I'm glad you're good. Yeah. I'm the worst.
Yeah.
We need more calm, less chaos. Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that's a big stressor for me is if I know that there's all these things piling up, I feel like, and it might be even like with yourself, your health, your body, that you need to do something. Okay. And that can in and of itself be stressful because it's like this constant thing, but you just keep making excuses, which sometimes just makes it more stressful than just to like take that first step. It's the hardest step, but go for it. Yeah. Go for it and do it. And I think you'll feel less stressed. You're stressed about the way you think you're going to feel, but you're actually going to feel much better than you do if you just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
We call them, and I don't remember where I heard this term, but we use this at home. It's like the needling tasks. So it's like calling, like a classic example, especially like for millennials, it's like calling and making a doctor's appointment. No one wants to do it, or calling your dentist and making an appointment. No one wants to do it. It literally takes 2 minutes.
I know.
And it's this needle task, and it'll sit and it needles the back of your brain and you just feel it. And it's like these little things. And it's like, then you go and you do the task and you're like, that's been causing me stress for 2 months. A phone call or going on their website and making an appointment. Like, and so one thing that has helped in looking more at solutions too, it's like writing those little tasks down. Yeah. Writing them down so they're not needling your little brain.
Yes.
They're physically there. You can cross them off. And sometimes I also am, because of just how I function too, if I get the mood to do something, it's like, just do it right then.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's like the most practical thing to do right at this moment, or it's maybe not the top priority. But if I think about, okay, I need to make a doctor's appointment, and okay, my phone is here, and I'm just going to like pick it up and make the phone call and like not think about it and just do it. Like sometimes you just have to take that motivation. It's the same with working out for me, which is another stressor and stress reliever.
Yes.
It's both. When we think about that physical stress, exercise physically causes stress.
Oh yeah.
You know, it raises your, but when we look at long term, it really can help reduce that stress for you. And again, finding the things that you like is what we always say. But for me, if I'm not a big exercise person, it's not like my favorite thing to do, but I'll get these moods where it's like, yeah, I could go for a walk right now. And it's like, okay, great, go put your shoes on, because you wait 5 minutes and you're not going to do it.
No, that's such a great one. And that's something that I do to help to relieve stress. Obviously, we've heard many times, we all feel this. You never regret it after it's done.
Right.
It's just hard to get going, and you're going to have a million things. It's too late. I'm kind of tired. I don't feel great. I haven't seen my husband in a while. Like, I want to like just veg out. I had a hard day. I had a great day. All these things. But then after you do it, and I think that's the other thing, like just either just go outside, put your shoes on, or just walk in the gym. That's all your goal should be. It shouldn't be like, okay, well, I have to run 6 miles in an hour at that pace. Like, then it's like, oh, I can't do that right now.
And it becomes a task.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just go out there and do it. Like, if you guys, anyone lives in the Sand Lake area, you'll see me walking up and down Sand Lake Road. Yeah. Like, I walk constantly. I'm just, anytime I'm like stressed, which is a lot, I'm just walking up and down the street, thinking, listening to podcasts, getting my head straight, and then I can come back in refreshed and tackle it. But just like what you said, I have to, if I get it, I immediately do it. And I think that has been instrumental to the success that I've had in my career and of my life. Because it's like, oh yeah, I just thought of that. I have to respond to Evan's friend's birthday party right now. Let me write, yep, he's coming. That's it. Or because you know how that's stressful when like you put out an RSVP for your child and no one shows up, and or not that they don't show, that they don't RSVP, and they're like, are they coming? Are they not coming?
Yeah, it's a follow-up.
All that, just take care of it.
I don't know if you're like this, probably not, but do you ever feel like you have to wait a certain amount of time to respond to those types of things? Like, you don't want to seem like, okay, yes, because it's on my watch, I got the thing, I can just respond to it quickly, where I'm like, no, you have to wait like at least a couple hours.
No, I love being that true psycho.
Like that first person.
I want to be like, they sent it at like, and I actually even look at, they sent it like at 1:11 p.m. I want to see that I wrote back before like 1:13 p.m. with a very thorough answer, because I have it already like saved and templated and like ready to respond. No, I love that. Yeah. The one thing that I do try to hold off on though is if somebody puts like a new Instagram thing that you see that pops up.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh,
it's like 3 seconds ago.
Oh yeah, you're like, oh yeah, 3 seconds, and I'm the first one that liked it.
Like, maybe I should put my phone down for a minute.
I'm like,
that's
wow.
another great stress reliever. Put your freaking phone away.
Oh my god,
for like a little bit.
Yes.
Do a puzzle. Like, do something that is disconnected.
Yes.
You know how I'm a shower thinker.
I know.
Take a shower.
Take a shower. Last night I took the longest shower after this whole Disney ordeal. Yeah. And I just stood there for, I think about you every time I'm in the shower now. So I did. I was like, just let the thoughts come into your mind. And just calm down. Yeah. And this was such a great day. The kids had so much fun.
Yeah.
I wasn't stressed. I truly wasn't.
Yeah.
I slept like 10 hours last night.
Nice.
I know. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It had not even a rollover. It was like totally green, perfect. I was like, wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But like you just said, that you were just talking about taking a shower, going out to exercise. We are going to, on the third part of this SOS series, Solitude, we're going to get into all of the things you can do in solitude, the way you feel when you're alone is different from being lonely, and how really getting to know yourself can help you to improve yourself and to deal with these challenging or difficult situations that give us that threatened fear of fight or flight, like you said at the beginning.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully we didn't stress anyone out with
I know.
this
I'm like, is this?
Oh my gosh.
Is your life stressing?
Yeah,
people?
right.
Like, is your what? Like, are we like? Am I more stressed or less stressed after talking this out?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But let us know your thoughts. What is stressing you out? What works to help to alleviate your stress? We want to hear all of that so we can share that, because obviously we've got a lot going on in our lives. You all have a lot going on in your lives. You're like, you've made this big change, or you're thinking about making this big change. You're trying to keep up with every single little tiny detail. And, you know, what helps get you through the day. So check us out on our website, drxdietitian.com. drxdietitian.com or on Instagram at drxdietitian. And we can't wait. Get ready for the next part of the series, overwhelming anxiety.
Yes, this was a very good conversation, very necessary. I think it's an important one. And yeah, we're going to continue it, give you some tips, tricks, and all the things to succeed as always. Bye, everyone.
Bye.